Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you so much for joining us today. Today, we're going to be discussing ticket trend awareness and how this can reduce relevant tickets and save your company money. My name is Dina Palmer. I'm going to be presenting today's webinar. I am your member relations specialist here at Okie 811. We also have with us today moderating the webinar, Dylan Cohey. He is a damage prevention agent, and Ashley Brown. She is your other member relations specialist with Okie 811. Before we get started, let's cover a few housekeeping items. On your desktop, mobile, or web version, you can ask questions using the Q&A feature. That will be anonymous. Nobody else will be able to see those questions that you submit. You can also use the chat feature. Everybody will be able to see those questions, but you can put those questions there. If the question is not relevant to the webinar, we will definitely reach out to you after the webinar has finished to answer whatever question you submitted. Okay, and so before we really dive into the topic of ticket trend awareness, it's really important to just take a brief look at the one call process and understand what's happening behind the whole process. So as you can see throughout the one call process, damage prevention and safe excavation is a team effort between the excavator, the member companies, and Okie 811. For the process to work, each person involved must perform their responsibility, and that all begins with the excavator contacting Okie 811. Once they do that, a locate request or a ticket is generated. We then send out notifications to our member companies that are registered in that respective area, and each member must respond to that request before the work to begin date and time. The excavator should then confirm that all those members have positively responded before digging on the work date and time. And as a member, your role in this process is vital. After you've marked the approximate location of your underground facilities or confirmed that your facilities are clear of that dig site, you would log into the Okie 811 portal and post your positive response. And that really is, the one call process really is such a team effort between every person involved. And there are a few ways that tickets are submitted. So the first option when excavators are submitting tickets is they call 811. They do have to call us for, or most companies do have to call us for emergencies, second or third notices, demolition notices, or damage reports. The office hours that they can call us are Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Ticket types that are accepted after hours are emergencies, damage reports, and second and third notices. We also offer the mobile site or web ticket. The benefit of using the mobile site or web ticket over calling in is you don't face any hold times. The mobile site and the web ticket is available 24/7, 365 days a year. You're able to view or update locate requests from the same company within 30 days. And there is mapping available to help pinpoint your dig site. So if you're a member company that's also an excavator, you definitely want to take advantage of that mobile site or web ticket to get those tickets submitted. Okay, so what is ticket trend awareness? Ticket trend awareness is being mindful of high frequency trends occurring in your locate request notifications. The purpose of using ticket trend awareness is to implement practices that can help ensure safety, they can help provide effective communication, and help you stay in compliance with the law. Ticket trend awareness can also really help reduce your costs. And this year we have been doing our cost savings outreach. We have been doing our cost savings series with our webinars. And so really monitoring those costs so you're ready for that annual invoice in November and making sure you're doing everything you can to reduce those is really, really vital. So the first locate request or the locate request trends that we're going to be discussing today are the high number of second or third notices from particular excavators in a certain area. Do you notice a high number of clear responses in a particular area? Are you seeing emergency tickets being called in for non-emergent work? And then are you seeing excessive updates? These are some of our kind of big trends that we typically see or hear about from our member companies. So that first trend is a high number of second or third notices. So if you notice that you are receiving a high number of second or third notices, what can you do about that? So the first thing you want to do is communicate with the excavator. You want to find out what is the issue that they're having. Have they heard that you guys have lines? Maybe is there confusion between private lines and service lines? You also want to make sure that your locators are providing precise, understandable, cohesive, positive responses. We see a lot of the time that positive responses can be really confusing, or jargon's being used that maybe a homeowner doesn't understand. The comment doesn't match the action that was chosen. So you always want to make sure, if you're receiving a lot of those second, third notices, take a look at that positive response and make sure that it is something that somebody outside of the industry will be able to understand, and they can get the information they need from that response. Monitoring those second and third notices is really important because, for one, it's going to help you reduce costs. As we've discussed multiple times throughout the year, starting in November of last year in 2023, there was that additional fee for second and third notice ticket fees. So on top of your regular ticket fee, for a second notice, you're going to be charged an additional $2 per second notice. And for a third notice, you're going to be charged an additional $3 per third notice. So you really want to monitor those and keep those under control to make sure you don't have a lot of excessive cost around those when you get your invoice. Another benefit of monitoring these is reducing the workload by not receiving unnecessary notices. We know that you guys are really busy and you have so much going on, so you don't want to have to send another truck out or send another guy out to respond to something you've already responded to, if a phone call could simply clear up the confusion, or an updated positive response could clear that up. Whenever you're receiving those subsequent notices, some of our recommended actions are to review your mapping and update if necessary. If it's possible that assets were removed and you no longer have anything in that area, and that's why you're not marking, you want to make sure and remove those assets from your service areas. Make sure you educate your personnel on the proper responses and make sure that they are educated on the fact that they not only need to go to the site, but they then need to log into the portal and post a response. If you use an API company, you want to make sure that your responses are uploading correctly and that information is getting from your locator to that company to us. You want to make sure that you're responding to every locate and design survey request, and you want to make sure you're responding to those by the work date and time listed on the ticket. Okay, and now the next locate request trend that we see is a high number of clear responses. So what can you do if you are having a high number of clear responses? Again, you want to check the mapping to see if your service areas need to be updated. You want to review your mapping or your buffers if you're receiving tickets for areas where you don't have lines. This is important because, again, it's going to reduce your costs by reducing your overall ticket fees. And again, it will reduce your workload by not receiving those unnecessary notices. Also, you want to review those responses again, because if somebody thinks that they're using Clear to clear tickets out of the queue, that is not accurate. They're posting that response and letting everybody know that there are no lines in conflict with that dig site. And as you can see here, we have the 2023 response by code. So as you can see, Clear at the bottom has 48.1% of the responses. That's a really huge majority of responses that are clear. And it's possible that all of those are actually clear, but it's definitely something where, if you're having that high number of clear responses as well, you want to check that mapping or look into that and make sure that that's accurate. Okay, and if another scenario is if the majority of your company's positive responses are clear, again, you want to check that registered mapping. You want to review your operational practices. Are you choosing the correct positive response? You always want to review that. And are you using blanket statements? Is clear being chosen and then a comment with just a blanket statement being added? Blanket statements really should not be used when providing positive response. You want to make sure that any comment you're using in positive response relates directly to that specific ticket and the action taken for that ticket. And on the screen, you can see the list of positive response codes that can be used to respond to a ticket. Like I mentioned before, we do hear pretty often that members are choosing the clear action because they want to clear or remove the locate request from their response queue, that is not what the clear response means. A clear response means that you are saying that your company does not have any facilities that are in conflict with that dig site described on the ticket. And there are a lot of other options here. You know, we have the site marked, we have other that you can use, and then put your explanation in the comments. If for any reason you weren't able to mark because there was no access, you would want to use that no access code and then leave a comment detailing why you were not able to access the property. And if possible, leave contact information so that person can contact you back and let you know how to access the property. Correction required is another one that gets misused pretty frequently. If there is a correction that's required, you want to make sure that, and when we say correction required, we mean a correction to the ticket information. So in the comments, you want to detail, was it a bad address? Did the driving directions not match the address? Why is a correction needed for that particular ticket? So when you use that code, an email goes out to the excavator to let them know a correction's required. And our QA department also receives an email letting them know there's an issue with that ticket. So we definitely want to make sure that we're using that one appropriately as well. And then the next trend that we hear about frequently is emergency requests for work that members do not feel is an emergency. Um, on this one, again, it's always important to communicate with the excavator. Um, Under the law, as a member, you do have the right to charge an excavator for gas, supplies, time spent to locate. If you feel like it's fraudulent emergencies, and you can find more information about that at okie811.org/the law. It's really important to remember, though, that something you may not consider an emergency right away could possibly be an emergency. A really good example is installing a fence. So if the damage prevention agent asks if it's a current endangerment to life, health, or fence, they ask that on every call, or sorry, to life, health, or property. They do ask that on every single call when they request an emergency. If the excavator states yes, we can't deny that. We do have to process that, but we can ask follow-up questions. So for a fence, we have had situations where they tell us, it's a daycare, you know, if the fence isn't up, the children could get hurt, or they have dogs that need to be contained, so they need to have fences up. So it's really important to remember that just because it doesn't seem like an emergency, it could possibly be an emergency, and it's important to communicate with the excavator to find out why. And another trend we hear about is excessive updates. Um, on this one, again, communicate with the excavator. We have heard that a lot of the time, someone in the office is updating those tickets and they're not aware that that work is complete. So, communicating with the excavator can sometimes put a halt to those unnecessary or excessive updates. You also want to document the activity. Take pictures of the area when your work's complete, save your emails, document any phone call details. You can add that information to your positive response, but you just want to make sure you document that activity. Like I mentioned before, under the law for fraudulent emergencies or excessive updates, as a member company, you do have the right to invoice or charge those excavators for your gas, your supplies, and the time that you spent to locate that area. And then you really want to consider, is it really excessive? We do not have the capabilities to determine what excessive is. But one of the things you can look at to determine if it's excessive is, does the work type make sense with the extent to complete? So say the work type is an above ground swimming pool and they've been updating that for 9 months. That is probably an excessive locate request. If the work type is they're putting in a new housing addition and they've been updating that for 9 months, it's possible that that's not excessive and that work is just still ongoing. So it's really important to kind of take a look at those different things to determine, is an update really excessive? Okay, and if you have any questions, now would be a great time to go ahead and get those submitted. We are going to cover questions once we go through our last few reminders. So the first thing is, ticket trend awareness is a vital cost savings tool. It's really important to help you monitor your ticket trends, to reduce your costs, and to save your company time and money. You want to be mindful of those repeat notices and try to mitigate those as much as possible. And remember, as a member, it is within your rights under the law to charge excavators for fraudulent emergencies or excessive updates. And that is a situation that would be completely between you, the member company, and the excavator. Okie 811 cannot be involved in that. We don't discuss liability or anything like that. That would definitely be something just between you and the excavator. Accurate and timely positive response is the key to great communication between the member company and the excavator. Always try to communicate with those excavators as much as possible. That just really helps the whole one call process function appropriately. Don't forget to check out our cost saving tips at okie811.org/facility operators. It can be found in our resources tab, and it has really helpful information for saving costs and how to make the most out of your Okie 811 membership. Okay, and now let's see if we had any questions.
Yeah, it doesn't look like we have any questions in the chat.
Okay, perfect. Ashley, did we receive any questions in our Q&A section?
Yes, we had two come in, and thank you so much for that wonderful information. The first question is, how can the portal help me with ticket trend awareness, or can the portal help me with ticket trend awareness?
Absolutely. The portal is one of your best tools for ticket trend awareness. There are lots of different things that you can do in the portal. One of the best things is our reports feature. You can track positive response history, your late responses. You can look at damage reports. There's lots of different reports you can pull in the portal. We do have webinars on our website and tutorials for those reports. In our next member services webinar coming up in June, we'll cover how to use the reports feature for ticket trend awareness. So that's going to be something you definitely want to get registered for.
Awesome, thank you so much. And the last question was, can I have more than one person respond in the portal for my company? So they're asking if they can have multiple people registered for positive response.
Absolutely. So whatever your company needs, whether you have a one locator or 15 locators, if that's how big your company is, each one of those locators can register with their individual email address and have their own login. That'll allow them to log in and post the responses with their username. As a one call contact, when you're pulling your positive response reports, if you're wanting to monitor what your locators are doing, you'll be able to see the responses posted from any of your locators. So you can absolutely have as many locators registered as you need for your company. Were there any other questions?
No, that was it. And we did include in the chat a link to sign up at the portal. If you go to that link, it'll take you to the Okie 811 portal and you'll select sign up and you can register additional personnel. There's no additional cost for having more people registered for positive response for your company. Thanks so much, Dina.
Perfect. Thank you, Ashley. And as always, we are always here for you. So feel free to contact us. If you have any questions or if you have suggestions for future webinar topics, please let us know. We really do want to know what you would like to hear about. And you can send those to education@okie811.org. To register for our future webinars or watch a recorded webinar, go to okie811.org/education events. If you have any questions regarding your membership, you can contact member services at memberservices@okie811.org or at the phone number listed and just use extension 4003. If you have any questions regarding the service area editor or your mapping, you can contact our GIS team at gis@okie811.org or that phone number listed using extension 4008. And as always, we do appreciate that you take time out of your afternoon to attend these webinars, and we hope that you have a wonderful and safe afternoon. Thank you.